A reading from John, chapter 19, verses 16 through 30. Then he handed him over to them to be crucified. So they took Jesus, and carrying the cross by himself, he went out to what is called the place of the skull, which in Hebrew is called Golgotha. There they crucified him, and with him two others, one on either side, with Jesus between them. Pilate also had an inscription written and put on the cross. It read, "Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." Many of the Jews read this inscription because the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and it was written in Hebrew, in Latin, and in Greek. Then the chief priests of the Jews said to Pilate, "Do not write the King of the Jews, but this man said, 'I am King of the Jews.'" Pilate answered, "What I have written, I have written." When the soldiers had crucified Jesus, they took his clothes and divided them into 4 parts, one for each soldier. They also took his tunic. Now the tunic was seamless, woven in one piece from the top. So they said to one another, "Let us not tear it, but cast lots for it to see who will get it." This was to fulfill what the scriptures says. "They divided my clothes among themselves, and for my clothing they cast lots." And that is what the soldiers did. Meanwhile, standing near the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that hour the disciple took her into his own home. After this, when Jesus knew that all was now finished, he said, in order to fulfill the scripture, "I am thirsty." A jar full of sour wine was standing there, so they put a sponge full of wine on a branch of hyssop and held it to his mouth. When Jesus had received the wine, he said, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit.
Thank you for joining Metro Baptist for this Good Friday meditation. Our guest today is painter Simon Carr, who painted the picture of the crucifixion that hangs in our sanctuary. The painting has witnessed to us, preached to us, and lived with us for more than 20 years. I'm also blessed to have one of Simon's paintings in our house. Every day as I step foot out of our bedroom, I begin the day face to face with a hand of blessing. Jesus' hand? Yes. And also the artist's hand, who dares to paint a story that is beyond words.
Hello, everyone. Before I begin the text, I just want to thank you all for inviting me to talk, and especially thank Troy for reaching out. I have such good memories of working with him a number of times on projects up at Union, and then projects at Metro Baptist years ago. I wanted to begin with a short quote from the Book of Common Prayer for the service for Good Friday. "We glory in your cross, O Lord, and praise and glorify your holy resurrection. For by virtue of your cross, joy has come into the whole world." And yes, I painted that. But seeing it in the context of its use at Metro makes me stop and think of what I meant and if it means as I had hoped. Paintings in churches are a different thing. In the context of the liturgy and use by congregation, they are taken out of the artist's hands, even responsibility, and become much more than works of art. I thank you for the honor of its use and inviting me to contribute a few words. The painting can be very harsh. It contains lessons the artist learned from his craft and from the history of his craft, and it contains the anguish the artist feels for the story, and inevitably, it contains the artist's story, but I hope it goes on from there. Again, I'm honored and humbled that you would use it at Metro. I've been teaching Sunday school through the pandemic on Zoom, and it has given me a chance to think about trying to explain the Passion to children. My kids are in the first, second, and third grade. And as happens in church school, to myself. So that combined with seeing this painting again, it has made me both remember and look. The Passion is our hardest story, our fundamental story. For everyone, Easter is so explosive and joyful that the temptation to jump to the spring, the green and growth, the resurrected Jesus in the garden amidst the flowers. But I guess that's why we have the 40 days of Lent. It seems so important that we take it in, the unspeakable story, Jesus' story, so necessary to understanding the rebirth, our rebirth, every year. But seeing this painting again makes the pain very real. The artist tried so hard. Sometimes I want to paint Jesus dancing off the cross, his arms raised in life and not in horrible death. I don't always know why we have to touch this place of dislocation, terrible pain, and finally memory. But I think we can know why, though I can't really explain it. I try with the kids in my class, and I always end up back at the story of Mary in the garden, the first to see him. They love that story. Mary asks the gardener where Jesus' body is, and he replies, Mary. And then she recognizes him with joy. That Mary, that calling of her name, is our calling too. The kids hear the combination of love and gentle scolding. Why did she doubt? The only answer is so that we can read the story and doubt with her, be scolded with her, and be loved with her. That is the understanding. It's the moment the world revolves around. Thank you all very much.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
Were you there when the sun refused to shine?
Were you there when the sun refused to shine?
Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble.
Were you there when the sun refused to shine?
Were you there when they laid him in the tomb?
Were you there when they laid him in the tomb?
Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb?
Were you there when he rose up from the grave? Were you there when he rose up from the grave? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. tremble. Were you there when he rose up from the grave?